This is Claire Greensfelder in Bingong, reporting live from Tikipaya, from the Univalley, the University of the Valley, at the conference on the rights of Mother Earth and on climate change here in Bolivia. And with us is Tom Goldtooth, the Executive Director of the Indigenous Environmental Network, who's been intimately involved in the negotiations for the statements from the working groups. And we just want to ask you, Tom, how has your experience been in Bolivia, and how do you feel about the political documents that are coming out of this conference?
Oh, it's really good to be here in this beautiful place of Cochabamba. You know, I understand that this is in fact a cradle of the indigenous peoples, of the first tribal peoples of this region. Very beautiful, very powerful spiritually. And, you know, with the indigenous delegation that we brought down from Abayala of the North, you know, from Alaska and Canada and United States, everyone is just really hyped up. We're really feeling good being here to provide, you know, our voice and what we have to offer here, you know, about this topic of climate change and the rights of Mother Earth. And you know, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be really challenging to be part of a social movement, an indigenous movement, a youth movement, a women's movement, you know, fisher people's movements, farmers' movements, you know, and to come together and to break these barriers and prisons and cages that have been created by an industrialized society that has removed people from the land and have created these multinational corporations, you know, involving these concepts of privatization and patents and commercialization, commodification of the sacred. These are terms that have, you know, come into our indigenous language, terms that have come into our lands where we have to confront them. You know, when we're talking about climate, we're looking for real solutions. Real solutions are making a transition away from a fossil fuel economy, looking for a new economic paradigm, because, you know, our people are on the front lines of struggle, and it is a life and death situation with our people, no matter whether they're from Alaska, where the ice is melting, where the United States is still pursuing, you know, the expansion of oil development, wants to go offshore, or whether it's the tar sands in Canada that is just devastating the health of, you know, indigenous communities there, where they don't know, you know, if they're going to have healthy children in the next generation. So we're looking at, you know, climate change. But it's not just climate change. Is the issue here isn't just about climate change. It's about structural change. It's about systemic change. It's about food sovereignty. It's about water and energy justice. It's about looking for a better way, a global well-being, but a well-being for our indigenous peoples to be able to survive and have healthy generations to come. That's
Tom,
why we're here.
Thank you. And what did you hope to get from this conference? What expectations did you bring when you came here to Bolivia?
Well, one of the expectations we came here to talk about was lifting up, you know, the concerns and issues around using our forests in the mitigation of climate change that involves the privatization of forests, the commodification of the sacred, and these carbon market regimes called reducing emissions of deforestation and forest degradation, called REDD plus, you know. And so we were here to lift up the consciousness, but also to inform social movements that this is not one of the real solutions, that it's, again, one of the structural things that we need to change.
And how did it go here? Do you feel like you had a willing audience? Did the outcome of the working groups reflect the concerns that you brought?
Well, you know, the main working group that addressed the forest issues was the Forest Working Group, Working Group 14. And it was a hard, tough road that took 2.5 days of difficult dialogue, but needed dialogue, looking at all sides of what it takes to conserve our forests, to look at the issues of restoration of our forests, but not just as indigenous peoples, but also all other communities are dependent on forests. And listening to the fisher people who are not indigenous come into the session and say that they live along the river systems of these forested regions, but also linking up the issue of forests and the conservation and restoration of forested areas in developing countries, and linking it to hydro dam development and how this is all linked together, and mining issues and energy policy and now climate policy. But through 2.5 days, we reached consensus. So coming out of the Forest Working Group is a consensus that the social movements, the farmers, and indigenous peoples are standing united, rejecting, condemning red and using carbon markets as a mechanism for climate mitigation, that's only a false solution. But we are demanding restoration of our forests, and that we're looking at standing with the developing countries, demanding that the United States and other industrialized countries of the North fulfill their ecological, historical, and climate debt, and that utilizing this money, and putting that money into restoration and conservation of the forest is really needed.
What message do you want to go back to the the listeners and the people who are going to watch this on YouTube and various blogs and links, mostly across the North, but probably around the world? But what message do you want to send in particular back to North America, the north part of Abayala, as you stated, Turtle Island, to the people who aren't quite yet understanding of what really needs to be done? What do you want them to know about what came out of here and what we need to be doing in the North?
Well, talking to my elders, we're dealing with many different issues back home, and we're trying to, build sustainable communities, and we're always confronted with these different models of Western development that just don't work. And so, what I like to tell the world, what I like to tell folks back home, especially those people that are looking for answers, is that all people have to reevaluate what their relationship is to the sacredness of Mother Earth. We need that.
Thank you, Tom. I think we'll just end it right there. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Tom has been someone who has been ever present, working on many different levels here at the conference, representing the Indigenous Environmental Network of North America, of Northern Abayala. And this is, thank you so much for joining us. This is Claire Greensfelder with Bing Gong, reporting back to our friends and colleagues back home. And we'll be back with you with more interviews later. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you.